Hi there, welcome to House Nerds. I'm David Lawson.
And I'm Jennifer Morris. We're so glad that you joined us today. We are on part 2 of electrical.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we've ever done a part 2 yet. There's lots of stuff that we need to do a part 2 on because there's so much to talk about and so much to fit into 10 minutes. But we ran out of time last time and we wanted to talk about some additional stuff with your house service and also backing up and safety issues.
Yeah, there's a lot of code surrounding and code violation opportunities surrounding electrical. I have decided I will never touch electrical. I tried to replace a light fixture in my home and almost burnt it down, and that was when I decided I'm fired. I'm firing myself. So, David, I think you feel similarly, even though you are advanced in your understanding in electrical design and whatnot. You hire out for electrical, don't you?
That's right. I might swap out a switch or an outlet, but anything involving the panel or new wiring, I hire for sure. I want somebody checking all that work who knows what they're doing. I've been zapped myself, and it's not fun.
It's not fun. I mean, come on, David. A little zap, a little voltage doesn't hurt
A
anybody,
little bit more
really.
than a zap, a little bit more than a tickle, I guess. So it is important, though, when you're dealing with electric, to hire professionals. In Texas, there are very few licenses required for professionals and subs, and electric is one of those because there's so much that can go wrong. One of those things that can go wrong, or that people often get wrong, are GFI or GFCI outlets. The ground fault circuit interrupter or ground fault interrupter, most electricians would just say GFI, is that circuit. It's got that little reset button on it, and you'll see it in bathrooms because it is meant to trip like that to make sure that you don't get zapped. If water gets on an appliance or anything like that, you'll see them in kitchens and garages. And a lot of people don't know where those belong in the house or how to wire that circuit that makes the GFI, where to put it in the chain. So that's something really important.
So not all plugs are supposed to be GFI, or are all of them, or just one in the chain?
So one in the chain usually. Now
Interesting.
we label them all on the plan to be that way, but one in the chain is the one responsible for making that trip. And then there are things in the code that, have certain requirements, like your fridge now, as of the 2019 International Building Code, requires a GFI outlet. So ask your electrician about whether or not to do that and how to keep the code, because your fridge could trip and you need some way to know that your circuits are on and off. Here in Texas, we had a big storm last night, and several of our GFI circuits trip in that instance with close lightning strikes.
Yeah, I can just imagine your refrigerator tripping, and your plug is where?
Right behind the refrigerator, so you got to roll it out.
Behind.
Yeah,
Yeah, behind the refrigerator. Yes.
and that's a
With your
dedicated.
refrigerator full of food, I'm sure that's fun to pull out and try and I don't know,
Yeah, and
push
there
the
are ways.
button and get it
So
going.
so with that, there are ways to move the GFI circuitry, the actual stuff that trips off out of from behind the fridge and into the panel. Or in the case of our house, all of our outdoor circuits are GFI, but the actual plug that has the reset button and test button are all in one place inside. And so
Hmm.
even though they're the one on the chain and all of the outlets are compliant, we can see in one place where all of those lights are for everything outside. So our electrician was really smart in how they made that easy to troubleshoot.
That's really interesting. And I'm curious, as we flip into, we both live in weather saturated places. We get a lot of strange weather, we get a lot of big weather. I know one of the big topics is generators
Yes.
and how to protect your home, how to provide power to your home, even in the midst of some serious weather.
So our power was out for 5 hours last night, and we're kind of in rural North Texas. So we didn't go turn the generator on. We kind of waited till the morning to see if it would come, and it came back on. But having a generator is sometimes a necessity in areas where we live. Having that continuity of service, we have meat in the freezer, or we have different things we need to keep the house cool, or whatever that is. And a generator is a pretty inexpensive way to add insurance and making sure that your house is taken care of. There are a couple different ways to install generators. One is to have a portable one that you plug into the house, and flip on. There are permanently installed ones that use gas, or in some cases natural gas and propane. So they are cleaner burning, and propane actually stores longer than gasoline. So there's some decisions you can make there. And then probably the most complicated decision on choosing a generator is how the interlock, how you switch from one power service to the other.
Yes.
You can have it manual, which is easy to retrofit and inexpensive, or you can have automatic circuits that automatically switch back and forth between generator power or utility power. And that really needs to be planned ahead of time, because you have to decide which circuits are going to turn on automatically when that generator does kick on.
That makes total sense to me. Again, pre-gaming is so important. You've got to think
Have a
about
plan.
your logistics, yeah, before this happens. And hopefully you've got a designer like David who is well versed in these things and can see kind of beyond what the normal average person might look for. Like, for instance, we were talking about in your electrical design, how important it is for resale value these days to prepare and plan for electric vehicles in your garage.
Yes, that's super important. So we always want to put a service in the garage that can plug into a charger, or plug into the systems that plug into the charger, have a big enough amperage and voltage there. Some people use those for RVs or power tools, so it's not like a
Mhm.
lost plug if you don't have if you don't have an electric vehicle today. But let's go ahead and put it in and make sure that you can cover that, not just for resale value, but in 10 years, maybe you're still living in the house and have an electric vehicle.
Mhm. Yeah, you never know. Especially right now, it looks like a lot of the car manufacturers are starting to really push out a lot
They
of
are.
um, vehicles on the market. So in the next year or two, I think we're going to see a lot of different options. And so we want to kind of prepare for those. Even though some of us kind of cringe at it, some people are excited about it. Wherever you land on the spectrum, it's important to
You still
pre-game.
might as well have, yeah, you still might as well have the outlet. It doesn't matter where you sit on that debate. And so with that outlet and with the generator, we need to then determine, the size of utility service coming in. Now, most of the houses I design are going to be standard utility size, 320 amp or 400 amp common size. Jen, back when you and I were working in IT, we worked down there south of Laguna on Billionaires Row, where they had engineers come in and design 800 amp services on these massive homes. With all of the great stuff, the way we can be, have efficiency in our equipment, our HVAC and LED light bulbs, usually we don't need to have those big industrial commercial services coming into houses now, but we do need to size the generator based
Mhm.
on all of the stuff that you're going to have in the house, whether it turns on or off. And you and I have talked about smart home stuff in the
Mhm.
past, and then not just choosing like which circuit breakers might turn on and off, but how we control houses and what things can be changed over time to become smart, because it also lends itself to resale value.
Yeah, there's a lot of appliances now that are smart. So we moved into a quote unquote smart home. That's the type of home that we purchased. Right out the gate, we noticed that it had a Nest, which is really helpful. A lot of the light bulbs and things are Amazon bulbs, so Alexa bulbs or whatever. I don't know. You can talk to Alexa and set it all up on an app. And then also, like, our garage door opener is Wi-Fi and Bluetooth compatible. So there's a lot of different options. I know that refrigerators now are smart, or can be. So, unless they get a power surge. So again, something to think about. Anyway, so yeah, there's a lot of options
That's
coming
right.
on the market and that are already hitting the market now, to make your home smart and efficient and eco-friendly.
Yeah, and we can design some of those things in ahead of time. Now, you can buy the Alexa bulbs and you can buy outlets that are smart and Wi-Fi, but we can also, design that in at the electrical level. We can say this dimmer controls all of these bulbs. So in a great room that might have 9 bulbs, we don't have to buy 9 smart bulbs. We buy one smart dimmer and put that on the system. And our house, all of our exterior lighting is smart and tied into the security system as well.
That is why you need a designer. Let me just put it that way. That is why you need a designer. Most homes right now are using the Alexa or
Yeah, you're
smart
getting retrofitted.
conversion.
That's right. Yeah.
Those things are expensive at $35, $45 a pop. And, let's face it, most homes have upwards of 50, 75 bulbs. It gets a little expensive. So if you can pre-game on that and tie it in with your electrical panel and design, that will save you a lot of money on the back end.
And making decisions on which parts of your home you want to be smart.
Yeah, David, what are some interesting smart features that you have seen in the last couple of years pop up?
So
Anything interesting?
we've mentioned thermostats. We've talked about garage door openers. I love that feature, opening the garage door with my cell phone. Or there's this idea of geofencing, which is creating a kind of a space around your house so that
Hmm.
when your smartphone enters that space, your doors can automatically unlock, your garage door can automatically open. There's some different cool things that happen with that. Or when you leave the house, if the geofence detects that you've left, close all the doors, lock all the doors, turn on the lights, different things like that. I love putting in smart plugs for Christmas lights. We put soffit plugs and make those smart. And the reason for that is because then you don't have to remember to turn your Christmas lights on. I know that sounds silly and maybe minor, but you can then tell your smart home to turn on at sunset every day and not at a particular time. So there's all sorts of things you can do around the rules that you create with smart devices.
Yeah, you even talked about creating an away mode. So when you leave, things turn off. Well, you can also plan for things to turn on. So
Right.
let's say that you want it to look as though you are home, even though you're not. So maybe you leave a couple of lights on.
You
I
create a random plan. So in a
Yeah,
lot of the smart home things, you can say always vary it every day by up to 5 minutes. And so you create some randomness that makes it look more lived in.
yeah,
So
all of that.
there's lots of fun stuff. We could probably talk for another episode on
Yeah.
smart home stuff, but we'll hit something again next something different next week. All right.
Yeah, all this stuff, it makes me geek out a little bit. I love technology. I love the way it integrates, especially with our new homes. And sometimes it can be a little cumbersome to get used to, but then once you get used to it, it really can be helpful in a lot of different ways. So
Yeah.
hopefully you guys got some good information out of this episode. And if you have any questions, as always, please type them below and we'll get back to you as quickly as we can. David, I hope you have a great rest of the week.
You too.
All right.
Bye,
Thanks for
everyone.
joining us.